Hey there, all things MSP crew. Eric here again from PAX8 Beyond 2025. And I have no stranger to the channel here with me today. I have Will from Nerdio, and you guys are doing some exciting stuff at Nerdio. I think everybody knows you kind of as that Azure Virtual Desktop company that we've come to know and love because of really all the training that you guys provide for your partners around it, which makes it much more useful and approachable, I think, because it sometimes can be a little bit complex, and one of the things you guys do is make it so much simpler for the MSP. But I know that that's not everything you guys do. In fact, you guys are doing a lot with Microsoft 365 management now. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so it's a really exciting time, I think, for Nerdio as well as for the MSP community, because they know us, like you said, from Azure Virtual Desktop, all the things we've done to help them with Azure and infrastructure. But back in November, we actually launched our Microsoft 365 management product. And what we try to do is take a very broad approach. Mm-hmm. I think the messaging that we're trying to get out there to people is almost every MSP in the world is trying to standardize as much as they can, at least on Microsoft 365 Business Premium.
Right.
And what they don't always realize is Microsoft 365 Business Premium includes about 38 features. Things like Intune, Defender, Secure Score, you can do application management, all these different types of things in that product. And what we're trying to help MSPs do is maximize that investment. And that can have real returns to the MSP instead of having to go out and buy solutions that do the same thing with the license they already get. Now, the reason why we find that MSPs aren't doing more with Business Premium is they don't have an easy tool to do it. It's not multi-tenant out of the box from Microsoft. There's no training and enablement or path that Microsoft gives you, and we will lower that gap for the MSP channel.
So again, you're taking kind of the philosophy of what I was talking about with Azure Virtual Desktop and bringing it to the Microsoft 365. And I probably use the wrong word in saying that it's just management, because you're actually bringing features kind of out of the shadows that they wouldn't have previously used because either they didn't know they were there or they were harder to manage because of the lack of multi-tenancy. All of those things. And that, I think, is really where you guys have had a lot of success with the virtual desktop, and now you're bringing that same philosophy to 365.
Exactly, and it's game-changing for MSPs. I was having a conversation at the Nerdio booth last night with one of our partners who is using that functionality today, and he said, Will, this has been so amazing. I have my Tier 1 tech managing all of my customers' M365. They are updating applications, they are doing policies, they are doing things like secure score management, and we're rolling out Defender across our customers. And then you can even take it a step further, where you might have other tools that you're paying for today to solve one of those challenges like security or policy management, and we don't necessarily need that anymore. So not only is it saving on labor and time and helping with standardization across all of your customers instead of one by one trying to configure them and hoping they're really close, but it has real life tool impact costs to that MSP, and they maybe don't need to manage as many tools. And the last thing I'll say about that real quick is our pricing model. We have two options for that. So one is the traditional MSP, pay per user per month. But we said, let's try something new. And you can actually license the M365 management on a per customer basis, unlimited users. So that is a complete game changer if you can replace a tool that you're paying per user and now pay per customer, charge a customer however you want, right? We don't care about that, but it can be highly profitable for an MSP.
Yeah, because you're taking it from the user level to the tenant level.
Exactly.
And that is going to greatly reduce the cost to the MSP and to the client, but I imagine that's where most of the cost is for you guys in terms of making the API calls. It's per tenant more than it is per user. So that makes sense.
Exactly, and it's nice, it's predictable, right? You don't have to go to your customer and say, you just, you grew your business, good for you, you scaled up 5 more, more charges on this, and it allows the MSP to make sure that they can have those dollars to spend on the managed services, right? Because that's what they want to do. They don't want to sell tools, right? They want to support the customer. They want to help with the outcomes for the customer, make sure employees are happy and onboarded quickly.
Yeah, and that's really, I talk about it all the time on the show about how MSPs really need to be focusing on outcomes. PAX8 is talking about it a lot here at the show when they're talking about managed intelligence providers and the next stage of how MSPs are going to leverage AI to build outcomes. One of the things I want to kind of double click on, though, is the fact that you were able to take a level 1 tech and do things that normally would be reserved for a level 2 tech. And we know that there's a talent problem in this industry. And so if you can solve that problem and produce the results that you're talking about, that's just a double win.
Especially when you look at an average MSP who is even doing this stuff today. They're managing things like Intune and Defender. So often they have one or two Intune, men or women, right? And that's a big risk for a business. What happens if they, get a job opportunity somewhere else? What happens when they go on vacation? And so being able to allow every tech in your business, regardless of their experience or skill set, be able to manage these complex technologies is game changing. We also, in December, released a enhanced support product to also help MSPs address this talent shortage. It allows them to call Nerdio for support related to Microsoft and not just the Nerdio product. So if you can't go out there and find the talent or can't afford it or bring that into your business, for some of our MSPs, they're paying us $300 a month to escalate these really, really complex Microsoft issues, and our team gets on a screen share and acts as almost as an employee of the MSP.
So that's... First of all, I think that's great. It falls in line with some other conversations I've been having here at PAX8 Beyond about the shift in professional services in the MSP market. Because, and I've said it on a couple of interviews already this week, I think MSPs have traditionally shied away from professional services because they're very independent and they like to do things themselves. Right? But I think that the smart MSPs, the MSPs that are really growing, are actually now engaging professional services from their vendors because they understand the talent shortage, and they also understand that it's much easier to go out and get a temporary resource than it is to find a permanent one. And they're leveraging that, and I think when you look at successful MSPs, I think that's one of the things they're doing that's kind of low-key right now that is really making a difference in some of their growth.
Yeah, it's a huge difference. It also, like the way that we've done it, opens up a pool of resources. It's less expensive than hiring the labor.
Oh yeah,
and
$300 a month?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. It reminds me of my days when I was at an MSP selling MSP services, right? Hire my MSP. You get access to all these services, and Nerdio can do that a little bit for our MSP partners if it makes sense for them and their business.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like there are great things going on at Nerdio. Anything else that might be coming that you can talk about?
I can talk a little bit about an upcoming announcement we're going to make about Nerdiocon 2026. So I'm very excited about that.
Awesome.
I think every MSP who's ever been to that event really likes the engagement they get with Microsoft. We bring Microsoft resources and executives like no other event in the industry. So we'll be announcing that very soon. And then also at the end of this month, we will be releasing or launching our online learning system for MSPs as well. We're going to be doing a lot of courses around M365 management. Again, as you know, we started with an education-first approach. Our product will stand on its own, and hopefully people see value in it. But if not, we want to educate the industry, and it really helps the community, I think, overall be able to manage Microsoft better.
Awesome. And maybe at some point we'll get a podcast row at Nerdiocon.
That would be awesome. We would love to have you there.
Awesome. Thank you, Will.
Yes, thank you so much. Appreciate it.